I felt confident that the Canucks could win the Stanley Cup once they got to that final. Looking at the Rangers, looking at the Canucks, and how things were going for Vancouver. The way McLean was playing in goal, Pavel was scoring goals. They looked at this team, all the character on it, the toughness on it, and you think, yes, this team could win the Stanley Cup.
Well, it was wild. I mean, first of all, you're kind of wide-eyed and taken back by the whole thing. I mean, New York City is New York City. And I guess like that famous Sinatra song, you haven't made it until you've made it in New York.
You go to New York, everything's larger than life, you know. I mean, everything's built up, you know. I mean, it was a little overwhelming, I think, for the guys. Sergio Momesso and I sitting in the bus in the first game going to Madison Square Gardens, and we have a 17 bike police escort to get to Madison Square Gardens, and we were going down the opposite way on one-way street, so that was pretty eye-opening for us at that point.
Just taking the bus to the rink and people giving us the odd salute and really not being nice to us, and it was fun to be a part of that.
There's no better place, I think, to play in big games or things happening big. It always happens in New York. That really was a bonus for hockey to go in there and not just seeing that it was the Rangers' first time for a long time getting to the finals, but what a series. And it was a series to talk about. You didn't know what was going to happen, but you knew it was going to be a battle. You knew it was going to be close.
Not only was it this East-West, New York, Vancouver, Canada, U.S., they were very good teams, and there were star players. Mark Messier of the Rangers, Pavel Bure of the Canucks. The goaltenders, Richter and McLean, both playing very well, excellent goalies. There was a lot in the series that made it interesting to even casual fans.
They won the President's Trophy that year. Mike Keenan was their coach. Mark Messier was their captain. They had a fantastic regular season. And they were the heavy favorites, certainly, to win the Stanley Cup. And there was high expectations.
The Rangers dominated the game. Kirk McLean was brilliant, and the Rangers outshot the Canucks by a big margin, carrying the play, kept coming close to winning it in overtime. It just looked like it was the Rangers' night all the way, and it was what the New York fans expected.
I think we all started to say, you know, when you get on a roll, some marvelous things can happen. You see it in sport all the time. And when McLean kicked out shot after shot from every possible angle, the long slap shot, the in-close scramble, he was everywhere. They couldn't beat him.
Game 1 is probably the greatest goaltending performance I've ever seen. His performance in Game 1 was incredible. I mean, it was just amazing.
He was outstanding. You know, the Rangers came at us really hard. It's a tough rink to play in, and I know when they got fans and they got behind their team, and obviously they haven't won it for a while. And right from the opening, right after the national anthem, you could tell they were pumped. And that rink, the ice surface isn't great to play on. The corners are hard to read, and I thought throughout that whole game, that was probably Mac's best game.
You get into that zone that they talk about. The puck does seem a little slower, a little larger, and your movements are effortless. They just happen. You're not thinking. You just go out and play. We always talk about stealing games and playoff series, and you know that was a big one for me to be able to go in and perform like that and steal one for the guys.
Then the winning goal, it was such a nice play.
Pavel Bure up to Ronning over the line, passes it, Adams scores! Greg Adams has just won it in the last minute of the first overtime. Adams scores for Vancouver at 19, well, whatever it is.
One thing, Pat always says, don't stay out too long, and I think, if I recall, it was like 4-on-4 or 5-on-5, and I was stuck out on the ice. So I took the point, and sure enough, Leach rings one off the post. So I'm thinking, if it goes in, I'm in big trouble. Sure enough, it hits the post. Someone was looking out for us. Comes to me, and it ends up a 2-on-1. I'm dead tired, but Greg Adams has full stride going, and I knew if I get the puck to him, he's going to one-time it. That was one of the times that you feel like a hero, but you could have been in trouble in one shift.
It really is amazing how quiet Madison Square Garden got as soon as that goal was scored. They can't believe it. What's happened here?
Uh-oh, here we go. Not only that, you know how in the media you like to look at all the stats and everything? You win the first game of the Stanley Cup final. How many teams go on and win the Stanley Cup? Well, it weighs very heavily in favor of the team that wins the first game. So now all of a sudden, ooh, this might just happen. And they win game one. And now I think, hey, listen, this could be a series.